The Secrets of Technology is brought to you by the StarQuest Production Network and is made possible by our many generous patrons. If you'd like to support the podcast, please visit sqpn.com/give. Hi, I'm Dom Bettinelli, and you're listening to The Secrets of Technology, where we discuss the technology news that's important to you from a uniquely Catholic point of view. Joining me today on the panel are Father Andrew Kinstetter. Hey, Father.
Hello.
And Pat Scott. Hey, Pat.
Good to see you.
So, folks, we want to get into today's topic right away, and we're bringing back a topic I think we talked last about. Well, this was one of our first year of episodes. We did an episode. An episode called LastPass versus 1Password, and it was Father Corey and Joanne and me, and it was sort of I think we built it as like Joanne was 1Password and Father Corey was LastPass, and it was a debate of which was better. I think 1Password has eventually won that one.
Oh, yeah.
That particular battle, yes.
Yes, that particular battle, because LastPass has had its difficult times. That was in January 2020. We've also, because since then, we did an episode, how to leave LastPass in 2023, because a lot of people, because of their problems that they had, their breach. And so that was in episode 197. But we want to revisit password managers. We recently talked about passkeys and explaining those a bit, but we wanted to get into password managers. And we've long said everyone should really have a password manager. I mean, some people get along without it. They create systems in their head for how they create passwords, and they're able to maintain that in their head. But the idea, like, don't keep a notebook of all your passwords written down, on your desk, because someone could come along and see that. But that's even better than reusing the same password over and over again. So we recommend password managers, and the nice thing is there's a lot of good ones. So we should start off by talking about the state of password management in 2025. And the big question is, have people gotten better about passwords? What do you think, Pat? You work with a lot of people. Are people better about it?
My average client has gotten better over the years, but I've come up with some things to help them come up with unique passwords, even if they're not using a password manager and things like that. And I've got a bunch of mine using password managers, but I've got people in their 80s and 90s, and that list, being kept in a drawer where they know where it is, but nobody else knows where it is sometimes the best I can get.
Yeah.
But I do have them always write down when they've changed the password, try to make it unique by but still typable, so they don't go for real squirrely passwords.
We do have access to more and better tools than we used to.
Yes.
Like, in addition to password managers, there's multi-factor authentication, passkeys, all this stuff is out there. But the fact is people are still reusing passwords and using bad passwords and that sort of thing. It's better, but we're still got a lot of work to do, I think.
I've found that if you can make the jump to a password manager, you're more than likely going to be using those
better at it.
But making that jump, I think, is that the hard part. So many people are used to having that one kind of core password and then just adding Amazon at the end of it, or eBay for whatever, but
no one will ever guess.
Right. But often it's just the mental hurdle of jumping into a password manager. But yeah, most of them, you don't even have to. Well, I still have to kind of type in passwords, look it on my phone if I'm on a website. But if you've got like the desktop app and it's not a public computer, often you can just copy and paste the super complicated password right where you need it. And it's super easy nowadays.
Well, and if somebody has a Google account and their Chrome browser is signed into, then the passwords they enter there, at least it requires them to enter a password to see them. Yeah. So that is a little bit better than just the browser's got them all visible for you.
Yep.
Right.
So
and some of these companies could do a better job of making it easier to use a password manager with in more places, because if you can't just do that paste from the password manager, then it means you're going to use less secure passwords. It's just a fact. Like, and
Right.
what I'm thinking of right there is iCloud. Every time my iPhone wants me to enter my iCloud password, I can't do it from 1Password. I have to type it. And if I used a long, secure string, I would never be able to do it. And so I have to use something a little less secure, not insecure, but a little. It's not as secure as I want it to be.
It couldn't be just the generated one. Yeah.
Right. Random, a 28 long character long random letters, numbers, and characters. I'm never going to remember that. So I have to use something that's memorable, which makes it a little less secure. So
well, and browsers are pretty good with the password managers. It's when you get into an app and that app just doesn't. Nope, no way.
or the system, which is the iPhone, the iOS issue. So, one of the things so I've got a couple articles on the state of passwords now, and there's one from IT Pro on has password hygiene ever improved, and the answer is yes, a little. There's another one, 70 plus password statistics for 2025 from a website called space.io, which is a blog, spacelift.io. And it says people are managing more passwords than ever. In 2020, the average person had about 100, but today it's over 250 passwords. Password
horrible.
And the more passwords we have to manage, the less secure we are likely to become until we can do things like passkeys. So, and there have been some issues with some password managers being vulnerable to some hacking, clickjacking, some things like that. And to their credit, all the major password managers update as soon as a vulnerability is discovered. But that doesn't help you if the vulnerability is out there before it's discovered and somebody's using it. So, that's just something to keep in mind. There was DEF CON is the hacker conference, and they recently at DEF CON, there was an exploit for browser-based autofill mechanisms in most of the top password managers, including ones we're going to talk about today, including 1Password, Bitwarden, LastPass, NPass, iCloud Passwords, and LogMeOnce, and NordPass, Dashlane, RoboForm, ProtonPass, Keeper. They all issued patches to fix them. Some are still working on patches as of this article. So, it's an ongoing passwords
battle.
And security is an ongoing battle. We have to be well armed, and someday we'll be completely biometric and we won't have to worry about it anymore. But that
Gattaca.
easy day.
We're not there yet.
In the future.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where
DNA.
things stand now. Yeah. Now we're going to talk about the major password managers. Although I do want to preface it by mentioning there's iCloud passwords, or, the passwords built into to the Apple devices. Google has a password management built into Chrome. There's password managers that are built into systems. I'm not going to really talk about those because those are basic ones that are in the system. So if that's what you want to use, go ahead and use it. It is like for the Apple one is perfectly fine. It's a very basic password
they've
manager.
really added to it a lot, though. Because now you can keep more things in there than you used to, and it's a separate app.
And it's works perfectly well. It's perfectly adequate. But I wanted to talk about some ones that maybe go beyond, and we're going to talk about their strengths and their weaknesses. One that I'm not familiar with myself, but comes up when I did the research, is NordPass. For the same company that makes the NordVPN VPN service, so you may have heard of them. They advertise in lots of places. Their strengths are it's a clean user interface, it's affordable, good encryption. It's called zero knowledge, meaning they don't have access to, they have no way to access your password vault. So they can't be subpoenaed, for instance, or if they have a breach that doesn't give anyone access to your passwords. So that's protects you on that side. They also have a breach scanner and that sort of thing. But their weaknesses is they do have a free tier, but it's very limited. Earlier versions they lacked some of the advanced features like folders or two-factor authentication, but they have been adding improvements. So they're relatively newer to the game than others, but they're advancing rapidly. So, Pat, did you have any experience with NordPass?
No, I haven't. And I don't know any of my customers that have, but I'm sure that there will be some soon. But yeah. Nord is a real privacy oriented company, so I would expect them to do the diligence in there.
They're a personal plan, like if individual. If you buy a 2-year plan, it's $37.53 random number for the first 27 months. So you get $3 free.
7 months.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's a 2-year plan. They're giving you 3 extra months, and I don't know. It's $1.39 a month. Basically, it works out to. They do it on a 1 or 2 year at a time. So you it's not month to month, but they break it down in a monthly thing. It's $2 a month if you do a 1-year plan. A family plan is $2.80 a month, and that it doesn't say how big they consider a family, but that's
we know there are issues with that.
My wife and I were talking about today. Big Catholic families. Is 6 user accounts.
Of course.
So, yeah. So
I'm sorry. The youngest is left out again.
Again, my youngest keeps getting left out. She's outside the Apple iCloud family too. So yeah. So,
can you just change her username to be one of the others? Just have her be a pseudo.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, that's what we do for music. Is I have her phone logged in on her sister's Apple Music login. I had her on mine. But that was really messing up my music recommendations, and I was
I bet.
You don't want Baby Shark.
Oh, well, worse. It's preteen music.
Okay.
Something called Gideon or whatever. I'm like, I'd be playing shuffle, and I'm like, oh, what is this? Weird. So that's NordPass. Now, this is another one that Pat, I think you actually use, Bitwarden. You've mentioned it before. It's open source, which is very good. It has a very capable free tier. You get pretty much everything for free if you want it. Good encryption. It's cross-platform. Works on Windows, Android, Mac, iOS, all that sort of stuff. You can self-host it, which is a big deal. I know Thomas Sanjurjo, that's one of the things he likes to do is to self-host it. But the weakness is that it says the interface is kind of utilitarian, like a lot of open source software that's not very polished. Pat, what do you think of Bitwarden for yourself?
Well, I started using it several years ago after the LastPass demise, and I tried several, as I say at that time. I've tried a bunch of these, and I ended up with Bitwarden, and I've been real happy with it, and I've got a lot of my customers using it. There is a family plan, and for $10 a year, that's a cheap upgrade from free to $10. So that's what I'm on the paid plan, so that's what I'm doing to support them, basically. Yeah. But you can have it on as many devices as you want. There's no limitation of how many passwords you can have on the free tier. So it's been very, very good for my clients. And so I've because it's free, I tell people try that first. And if you don't like that one, then we'll go on to Dashlane or one of the others. Yeah.
The premium paid version, $10 a year. One of the things it gives you is the built-in authenticator, the 2-factor authenticator, which can be nice. I mean, there are free, like the Google Authenticator is free. So there are free ones.
Authy is free.
Authy is free, right? So those things, those are free. But if you want to have it all integrated, I actually use multiple authenticators. I use Authy and 1Password's built in, so that it's always in 2 places.
So. Yeah, well, and I don't like to put all of my security in one place. I like to have one thing for this thing, the best of breed for each of these areas. So, true. I don't use the same brand of VPN as I use for my password manager as I use for my other types of security things.
Yes. That is a commendable policy.
Goal.
It depends. Right. It depends on. It's like a lot of things that depend on the amount of risk you're willing to take, and if you want to be more risk averse, that's a good. It's a trade off that you're making.
Yes, because you don't have one consistent interface for them all. When you're spreading it out. But for me, it's worth it.
Yes, yeah, that sounds right. And then the one father that I think both you and I have a long time users, 1Password. So I'll just name it. It's excellent for families and teams. My whole family uses 1Password.
Yep.
We also use it for SQPN, and I've used it in several organizations where I've worked. I've had 1Password for 15 years at least, I think. It's got a great user interface. The sharing is very strong. If you want to share a password, a login, you can share it like long term. You can share it for a limited time. Really great like that. And it has a travel mode, which is if you travel across international borders, you can basically hide your vault.
That's nice.
I'm not worried about TSA so much as I am worried about maybe on the other side. Like if I'm traveling, to sketchy countries, I won't name any, but if I were to travel to sketchy countries, that was the sort of thing I'd want to do. And you can also you can store documents and other information as well besides password. The weaknesses, if you lose your master password, it's not the end of the world if you've taken precaution, because there is a 1Password emergency kit, which is a piece of paper that you print out that has a code that you store in a lockbox or safe deposit box or someplace very, very, very secure and safe. And it's the other thing is it used to be you could host your vault locally, like in Dropbox, but that's no longer the case. Now it's all in the cloud. You have to store it on their servers. Some people don't like having to, that
also means that you're paying their subscription fee too, because for the longest time I was using the standalone Dropbox vault, and then you just had to pay for one license, and then you could just use the same vault on all your different devices. But at one point it just became easier for me. I wanted to have the updates and the other nice thing about it that I found, I mean, it's not free, but it is an easy one to transition to. This is what I got my parents to transition to, and now my dad uses it for everything, and mom grudgingly uses it for everything. Right. But it is intuitive. I like also in it you can have a favorite list of passwords that you continually use time and time again. So it just loads up right into that list. And I think it's a really good one.
And it's reasonably priced. The family plan is $5 a month for family. Although if you have an Eero, and you subscribe to Eero Plus, which gives you some other things, including a VPN, you also get 1Password for families included for free. So
that's nice.
For free or as part of the money you're already paying Eero.
Right.
But between that, Malwarebytes and VPN, and when I added it all up, I would actually save money in addition to getting these extra Eero features. So that was a no-brainer for me. That brings us to Dashlane, which is probably the biggest, I think, after
most popular
1Password. Right. I think it's the most popular after 1Password. And it has a lot of features to it. It has a lot of things built into it, including VPN, dark web monitoring, breach alerts. 1Password does breach alerts as well. It has a watchtower feature that alerts you. But it's very high security. It's a little more expensive than the others. Some folks out there say it may be overkill for casual users. But Pat, what do you think? Is it overkill for casuals?
I have a lot of my clients using it. And I've had people that tried several password managers. And the consensus among my clients, which is a different set of clients than out there, I understand, but most of them felt like 1Password was a little more complicated for them. They had a little bit more trouble with it. Dashlane, they felt they just slid into it and they felt fine with it. I don't know that would be true anymore, but I know that initially when I looked at 1Password, that was my impression too. But, I don't know these days whether they're just really the same comparability or whether my clients are right that there's just a little easier interface with the Dashlane. But yeah, I've got a lot of my clients using it and liking it.
So one of the nice things about it is for the pricing, they give for the friends and family, they give you 10 accounts.
Wow, that's a lot. And that says friends too, not just have to be in the same family. You may want to consider your youngest. No.
Right. And it's $375 a month, which is not crazy amount of money.
No.
And you get everything that the regular individual plan gets, but only the plan manager, the plan owner, gets access to the VPN, which I think is interesting. The rest of the
that's
accounts
weird.
don't. It's kind of odd. I'm not sure why that would be. But in any case, that's so Dashlane is a strong contender. Put that way. Then there's one I hadn't heard of before, but I think you mentioned that you'd heard of it, Pat, is RoboForm.
It's been around a long time, and it was originally used for form filling and, your name, address, all that kind of thing. And then they added in passwords, and then it was clunky. It really looked like a DOS type application for so long, or DOS done in Windows. But I understand that it's gotten real slick and I have several clients using it also. Not as many as Dashlane, but
the strengths, it says it's a strong experience on mobile. It's really good on mobile, probably especially on Android, but probably on iOS as well. It's got a decent price. It's let's see, what was the pricing on that again? I'm looking here. For family, it's $298 a month. That's a some of these are initial trial, like,
savings.
After the first time around, it would be $4 a month eventually, but you get 5 accounts, so it's affordable. It's not bad. It offers passwordless logins for low cost, so you can. I think that means like passkey logins, like
okay.
Password.
I was trying to say passwordless. Yeah.
But the weakness is sync and sharing do require the paid tiers, so those aren't available in the free tier. So you
can do it on one machine, but not have it on all your machines for the free one.
Exactly,
that's the limitation of a lot of the earlier incarnations of these things.
Right. The fact is if you're going to move beyond the built-in password managers, you're probably going to want to pay for. I mean, Bitwarden you get a lot, so maybe if you really don't want to pay, Bitwarden might be your first third-party one to. But
even at that $10 a year is cheap.
Yes, exactly. And then Keeper Security, and I think what distinguishes Keeper is that it is very secure, and although they have like personal and family plans, it seems to be aimed at really high security situations like medical, like HIPAA compliance and legal compliance and GDPR, and very strong business features to it. So if you have compliance requirements, Keeper Security may be where you want to start looking. It can be expensive when you add in those higher features, especially. Yeah. But like for the personal and like family, it is a bit like, if you look at the family plan, it's a bit higher. It's $7 a month, so about twice
$100. Yeah,
year. About twice what? Or this is like $85 annual. It said, but for the family plan, so it's about twice what you pay for some of the other ones. And then it says that the interface, it maybe feel complex to casual users. Like for a techie, that's probably fine. But for folks who are not as technically inclined, it might be a little confusing.
For auntie.
Yes. For your elderly aunt. We should have like a canonical for the show, an elderly aunt that we're always helping. That sort of thing. Aunt Ethel.
And that you send Mama Nerd after. Yeah.
Yes. She will be one of your clients. She's like the canonical person we help. And then finally, this Proton Pass. So from the people who bring you Proton Mail, and they've actually expanded to a Proton suite of applications. But they're based in Europe. They were based in Switzerland, but I think they're actually moving locations because of change in laws. They want to be like ultra secure from subpoena from governments and all that sort of stuff. And so they set up base in Switzerland and that sort of thing. So they are very privacy focused. They are open source, so the people can look at their source code, make sure they're secure. They do include passkey support, dark web monitoring, and of course the whole Proton ecosystem works well with it. but it's new. It's a less mature product. They've only just added this, and so the feature set is still developing. They don't have all the features that all the others have. So
they haven't done their homework to figure out what to put in yet.
right. Or they just haven't had time to program it in
right.
yet. But yeah. But they do have like a free account that you can start with and build from there. And if you're already a Proton user, it's again kind of a no-brainer. That's to look at if you're already a Proton user. The last one I'll mention, although I'm not recommending, is LastPass. I mean, they say that they've fixed their problems, they're better than they were, etc. But I just don't know that I can ever recommend them again.
Maybe after 2026, I'll give them 3 years to see how they're doing. And if they're handling breaches well, then I might give them another chance. But they were always an easy to use one and had good features, but when they botched the disclosure to what went on and mess it up a couple of times, that's not good.
Yeah, not just once. They messed up a few times. And if you want to get the whole scoop on what happened, again, go back to our episode 197 on what all happened that made everyone lose confidence in them. So I do want to just wrap up with a few best practices in general for password management and passwords. Pick a good password manager. Any of the ones that we mentioned here that we said were reputable, they'll all work. They'll all do the job. Pick one. Make sure that it has end-to-end encryption. That's important. Zero knowledge policies, again, which means that they don't have any way to access your password vault from their end. They give you two-factor authentication, passkey support. That they monitor. They breach monitoring so that what they do is they monitor when there are password breaches and let you know, hey, you have if I have a Gmail account and I have a password in there, and then we find out that Gmail had a breach, they'll alert all the users who have a Gmail account and say, hey, you should probably change your password, that sort of thing. And you want to have cross-device support. Everyone today has multiple devices. We have a phone, a tablet, a computer, whatever. You want your password managers to work across all your devices, even if they are all in different ecosystems, Android, Windows, Mac, that sort of thing. Check the security responsiveness of the password management companies. Do they push out patches quickly when a vulnerability appears? Like I mentioned from the DEF CON one, not all vendors have handled the exposure to risk equally. So see what their track record is for fixing things. When you choose your password manager, you are going to have one password that unlocks your vault. That is the password that doesn't leave your computer. That is use a strong, memorable password. That's the one password you're going to memorize, right?
And make it so that you can type it too on a little screen.
Yes, and be able to type it on your phone, on your iPad, in your computer, of course. So make sure you're not tying your fingers into knots trying to type it. I can't tell you how many times I have to retype my master passwords because I've chosen secure ones. But that one password is vital. That's the key to the kingdom. That is everything. And then use two-factor authentication and use passkeys when they're available. So just those are some best practices. Make sure to keep your password manager software up to date. Whenever there's an update on your phone, on your computer, whatever, make sure it's updated because that means security patches are being pushed out. And then tell everyone you work with, whether it's your people you work with or your family, teach them about the importance of password hygiene, why it matters, why it's important. Because the fact is, especially with the family, you may be great at passwords, but if your spouse or your kids are bad and they have access to the same accounts, like say your spouse has access to your bank accounts and they're really bad at password hygiene and management, that it doesn't matter how good you are if they're creating a security hole. So make sure, and then teach your kids about password management. This is a lesson for life. They're going to need, make them secure for life by teaching them now the importance of security and privacy. So
I feel like
a big one.
this could be a talk that's developed into a larger, just life skills sort of. Like,
Yes.
Yeah, how to shop, how to take it, to handle your bank account, how to keep your car maintained, passwords.
right. How you manage your passwords is, equivalent to how you're going to manage your life
manage a bank account.
In a real sense.
There's a potential topic where we could discuss all of the things, all of the ways that a parent could, from a tech point of view, the important life lessons to pass on to your kids about password security, about privacy, and we should probably develop a topic on that, because I think there's a lot of things to look at, things that I take for granted that I've learned over a lifetime of being a tech nerd and growing in all of this industry, growing up, around me. They're immersed in it from birth, essentially.
But they don't know all the dangers that you know.
It reminds me, and I don't know if this is quite too far of a stretch, but like all the classes in elementary school, like the DARE program, learning about, all the things out there, drugs, alcohol, and all of the things that
scams.
Right. But like a tech version of that. A kid is handed an iPad and they're just kind of given free reign. And
how to manage a phone account,
how to filter out what's garbage and what's real messages and things like that. That's a good point. That should be a future show, definitely. Okay, I think we got a new topic.
Yes, that's going to go on the list. So the last best practice is plan migration paths. So Microsoft Authenticator is a two-factor authentication app. We've talked about it recently, but they're phasing out the autofill of the 2FA codes this fall, or actually, I think they phased it out as of August 1st.
And they used to have a password manager built in, and that's what they're phasing out too.
Right, and so they're going to be in favor of passkeys instead. So now, if you were using that as your password manager, you need to migrate to a different. And so if you're using a tool, be aware of how do I move out of that tool, and
look for exports. Yes,
yeah, that's in general another good tech life lesson. Mm-hmm. When I was in Evernote, and I decided this is no longer the product I loved for so long. How do I get out of it? And that sort of thing. I had to find a way to get all my thousands and thousands of notes out of Evernote. That sort of thing. So we have to be ready to move. But something as vital as password management, you got to be ready to keep that safe and move to a new one.
And all of these major ones that we've talked about have an import-export feature, so so like if somebody was wanting to try several, they could, import the same set of passwords into multiple managers and compare them, that type of thing. But leave yourself an exit plan.
I didn't talk about backing up your passwords much. If you can export into an encrypted form, an encrypted vault, and save that every once in a while to another location, a backup drive, as long as it's encrypted and not in the clear. That's the important thing.
Right.
Do that. But I don't think most
of these are going to just use cloud services anyway.
Yeah, or they will export to a CSV, which then you could then encrypt and put somewhere.
Yeah. Right. But what I was meaning, is if it's not locally on your phone, if your phone dies, it's on their servers.
Right.
So at least there's that backup. But
I worry about if something goes wrong and somehow I munge all of my passwords somehow. That would be a bad.
I had one person that was trying to set up a password manager, and she had gotten part way and then came back, and she deleted all the ones she had already done. And had to start over on those. Yeah. So that's possible. A Control-A does a lot of damage.
It does.
Yep.
Yeah. So backing up your passwords I have to do a little research on, it would be different for all of them, but I'm going to look into how 1Password does it.
And some of them, if you had a thumb drive that had an encryption key on it, and then that you backed up onto it, for instance, and then stored it somewhere.
Well, that's the thing. Like Bitwarden does allow you to have a local vault, and Thomas Sanhuro was telling me that he uses an encrypted thumb drive to hold his
Right. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
Except you have to make sure you got a copy of that because thumb drives die.
Exactly.
Well,
make sure that's copied somewhere.
I would have just a physical printout that you put in a safety deposit box or something.
I mean, passwords change, but yeah.
Right.
But if you had as of a certain date, at least you've got that.
Right.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's easy to go old school to back things up because it's like you back it up to another computer that could die, or back it up to a thumb drive that could die. Granted, you put it on a piece of paper that could get burnt up in a fire too.
But a literal fireproof safe would probably be secure, pretty secure.
Yeah, that would be.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the things I try to do before I go on a trip is make sure I've got backups for all of those things in a place that my people know how to get to. My family knows how to get to.
Exactly. That's another topic that I want to. I think we addressed it once. I want to readdress is preparing for disaster. Yeah.
Yep.
How to make sure that if something happens to you, the tech person in the family, you don't leave everyone else high and dry.
Well, or really for anybody, that one of the key things nowadays is you need to know their master key in order to get into their accounts, whether they're the techie or not. So knowing, just kind of where they've stored their master password.
Right.
Everybody needs that should be something in a safety deposit box. And
no, it needs to be gotten to. If you got it in a safety deposit box and you die, then sometimes those get locked up.
Yeah,
my lawyers recommended wherever you keep a copy of your will locally. It may be in a lockbox, but it has to be local to you.
Yep.
Yeah. One thing. So we have a SQPN one password account, and I have my family one password account, and I keep the master passwords for each and each other.
That's a good.
So that
there you go.
If anything ever happens to one or to me, it's they're in each. So someone can folks from SQPN get into the SQPN one, and I mean my wife knows what the master password is too, but I make sure that it's in multiple places that multiple people can get to. All right, so that is password managers in 2025. There are other password managers out there. Like I said, if you have a favorite that you think we should consider, you can let us know at technology@sqpn.com. We'd love to hear about it and maybe let everyone else know. So before we move on, I want to take a moment to thank our patrons who make it possible for us to create the Secrets of Technology, including Susan W., Danny L., Joshua G., Sean E., and Connie Z. Their generous donations at sqpn.com/give make it possible for us to continue the Secrets of Technology and all the shows at StarQuest. And you can join them by visiting sqpn.com/give. So I got a couple headlines. Let's see how far we can get with each one. So the first one comes from, let's see where the link goes to. I think it's Financial Times, the British paper. And the headline's Inside DHL's AI Upgrade. And I thought this was an interesting story. I know it's another AI story, but that's kind of things. But the abstract for this is that at DHL's German operations, they have 1/3 of their support staff is going to be leaving or eliminated within 5 years. I think they're like downsizing through attrition, that sort of thing. And so they have automated customer service calls using AI, and they've begun capturing institutional knowledge through AI conducted exit interviews. So as people leave, there's an AI that interviews them to capture the information that those people have acquired about the company. And now the company's voice bot now processes 1 million monthly calls, resolving half of them without human intervention, although initial deployments struggled with basic German language recognition. So the reason I bring this story up is just because I think it's fascinating. This is becoming more and more of an issue of the idea that we are replacing human workers with AI. And sometimes they're laying people off, or sometimes they're just as an industry, they're having a hard time hiring people to fill these positions. And there are some things that don't require a physical body to be standing there to do it. You can't replace waiters with AI, but you know, carpenters. Well,
I've been to some
eventually.
restaurants where there's robots,
but certainly, but not with a chatbot. But things like customer service are starting to. What do you think? I mean, do you feel like, is this a bad thing? You know, or is it like when the buggy whip makers were obsoleted by the auto industry?
I like the fact that they said that they were gathering knowledge from people as they left. That was, and incorporating it into their knowledge base. That was real positive. I think that anybody who's using a AI for tech support or customer support has to have a way that people can say, okay, now I've had enough of this. I need to get to a real person, because they can't just leave it only AI. But I can see where pre-screening on some industries, it could help cut down on the amount of number of paid people sitting there doing it to make that much of a quality operation. So,
right. Yeah. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, it's a tool. So like there's an inherent sort of, as long as you use the tool well, there's not a real problem in my book. You know, but you want to always keep in mind, the dignity of the human person. So, I mean, are you just throwing people to the curb, you know, to save money? You know, which on the one hand, sometimes that's what you can do to save money as a company, but some things you don't want to replace with an AI. That, like, some customer service needs to have the human touch. Right. Or some jobs, you know, an AI can do data analytics. I mean, way faster than a human person can. So, which could then allow the company to pull people into different roles and hire them for different services that an AI can't do.
So,
and using it for troubleshooting, you know, kind of winnowing through and looking for possible solutions, an AI can do that faster than a human person. But you need the human person there to, when the AIs can't find the answer.
Right. So instead of having three people, you might be able to get away with one. You know, right. In the case of the DHL in Germany, what they're facing is a demographic issue where they said they're expecting to have 1 in 3 staff working in support operations will retire over the next 5 years. So they're not reducing, you know, they're not laying people off, but they just don't have. Again, a lot of countries are facing these demographic issues. South Korea is like the worst in the world, where they don't have as many young people, and so where do the workers come from to do the job? And so what they're looking at is, you know, if you don't automate, you don't use AI, you're not going to be able to deal with the shrinking workforce, according to the article. And that's one of the things that they're dealing with. But yet there's still basic issues. Like I mentioned, the difficulties with German. They're in the initial stages, the chatbot had difficulty understanding "ja," the German word for yes, which would be a problem.
Real serious one. Yeah.
So,
well,
yeah.
And there are so many institutions that as they lose people, knowledge walks out the door with those people. So that from a manager point of view, when I worked at the state, you know, when you lost somebody, it wasn't just the physical person that walked out the door. It was a lot of how to handle stuff. So if they're gathering some of that through the AI interviews, I am all for that. You know, that would really help keep the institutional knowledge from being totally stripped.
Yeah, they give an example, like, so outgoing workers document the procedures that they follow and then have an exit interview with an AI that's trained on DHL's official manuals. And the AI asks, have I understood, you know, it outlines it and says, have I understood the process? And the person might say, yes, except there's this one exception. And that's what's important, is it's the knowledge of the exceptions and the unique circumstances and edge cases that's the institutional knowledge that people carry with them.
Yes.
And that's the important stuff that you want to capture. So as it does that, then it can integrate that into its knowledge. And then when we're training new workers down the road, it can say, oh, and remember, there's these edge cases and that sort of thing. So,
right.
I think that sort of thing is good. And, you know, the best solution to demographic issues is more babies. People need to get married.
It's a long-term solution, though.
Yes, yes, it is a long-term solution. But the church would say, marriage and family, have babies. That's the best solution.
Be fruitful.
Be fruitful and multiply. But
and help your end result.
Yeah. In the meantime, maybe we can AIify to help us get through.
And it also makes you wonder, like, why aren't there, besides maybe just a population shortage, but why aren't the young people coming to work?
That's mainly what it is.
It's a population shortage? Okay.
Yeah, Europe is having its population is shrinking very fast. Even the massive immigration into Europe, which is a whole other issue. I don't want to get into the politics of that, but even that's not compensating. But Korea and Japan are even in worse shape than Europe is. Korea might have passed the point of no return. South Korea might have passed the point of no return for its demographic
population.
Problems. Yeah. So it's just there aren't enough young people.
Then AI might be kind of a tool that can help them get along for the moment, but it's not a long term.
Right.
You need people.
Right. Yeah. I mean, from a purely financial point of view, societies are supported, partially by the economics of paying people a wage and them spending their money and paying taxes. Mm-hmm. AI doesn't spend money, pay taxes, and doesn't get a wage, and that's still a problem. So we still get.
And it costs money. It costs money.
Yes, it does cost money. So our next headline is from TechCrunch, and it says Blue Sky blocks service in Mississippi over age assurance law. So Mississippi is one of several states that have passed laws that require social media to verify every user's age and obtain parental consent for everyone under the age of 18, with very serious potential penalties if they don't comply. I think that in Mississippi, it's $10,000 per user. So Blue Sky said, well, we can't do that. So we're just going to block everyone from Mississippi, which can cause problems for people, especially if their IP address shows them in Mississippi or they're not, if they're maybe in a neighboring state, because your IP address doesn't always accurately reflect your location. And I don't know. I mean, this is a short-term stopgap. I don't know that this is a long-term solution that Blue Sky is hitting on, because this, you still gotta, verify. Like, we already have laws about young people being online. I mean, this is not a new thing per se. I don't know. What do you think?
But it is costly to try to verify. It's, can be very costly to try to put those protections in place with people very willing to break them,
Right. Yeah. One of the arguments they make is small companies might be deterred from getting a start because of these very costly compliance measures that they'd have to put in place right off the bat. So they might not be able to, just even get started, like a new company, never mind an established company. So that is a consideration. I think the really important thing is what's the aim? What's the principle we're trying to get at? Which is we need to protect children from the internet. And really, it's not Facebook's job or X or Blue Sky or whoever. It's not their job to protect these children. It's the parents' job, really.
Right.
So keep your kids off of these services that they're not supposed to be on.
The challenge there, I agree with you totally, Dom. I mean, but part of it too is you could have a parent as active as possible and
miss it.
And Joe Smith, who's 13, they're going to be swapping, how to get onto the well, hopefully not the dark web, but I mean, like, how to get around all of that, because that's what happens at,
That's the nature of rebellion.
Google Doc hole to the web.
Yeah.
Which one of my children found.
So wasn't it a Kindle too that they get figured out how to get to the web browser from the Kindle help?
That was the other one. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's a huge question. I mean, then do you rely on state law to help the parents or not? Or, I mean, or is there even
going to be effective?
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. And with social media, I mean, it has so many good things, and you hate to kind of throw the baby out with the bathwater, but there's also so many toxic things on there too. Right. So you need to be old enough and mature enough to be able to handle it. But then, how do you handle that as parents with kids? And
there's no legal issues of getting sued because your company let somebody on, and they shouldn't have.
There's no easy solution. There's got to be teaching kids about safety online.
This goes back to even our conversation earlier of just a tech kind of how-to tech for kids.
Life skills, tech life skills.
Yeah, because this would be very much part of that whole process of how do you navigate social media without it, being detrimental or consuming all.
How do you see the warning signs? How do you how do you determine whether this is a friend or a foe out there?
If they ask you to go to WhatsApp, never listen to a stranger telling you to go to WhatsApp.
Yeah. All right, so those are our headlines, and let's move on to our picks of the week. Pat, why don't you go first? What's your pick this week?
Well, it came out as a result of a practical problem I had with a client. They had a laptop with 3 partitions on it, and they wanted to get it back to 1. So I had to do some research and found a free partition manager that I was able to go in and delete ones that were empty and then combine them. But the Windows tool was not enough. I had to find a partition manager that would let me combine some partitions and extend some partitions. So the one we used was, I can't even say it out loud, AOMEI. AOME? At any rate,
sure.
They had a free tool for that. There's another product that I didn't have time to look at, but I will go back and look at it now. It's one I use EASUS for a backup program, EASUS. They're to do, and they have a partition manager that I didn't have time to look at. But not everybody needs to move partitions around. Most machines now come with a single partition, but for some reason this client had them set it up with 3 partitions, like we used to a long time ago, and it was hampering them, and we needed to get it all in one bucket.
If there's data in all 3 partitions, can you combine them without losing data?
Yes, that was the point. Windows, I couldn't do that with the Windows tool. I could shrink a partition, but I couldn't move them around so that they'd be contiguous. But I was able to get the partitions moved around and combined and expanded that way.
Nice. That's good.
It's a very niche tool.
Yeah. So if you need it, you need it. But most people won't need it. But free is good as well. That's nice.
Yes.
Excellent. Father Andrew, what is your pick this week?
My pick is a weather app. And you might be wondering, with all the weather apps out there, why another weather app? Well, this one I found.
Weather app.
Whether or not.
Well, this one I found actually is really cool. It's called My Radar, and there is a free version. It comes with ads. There is a paid version that's $30 a year. I don't have a need for the paid version, but really what I found cool about it is so you open it up and it shows the radar. Like any of your other weather apps. But really what I found cool for my use is it's one that will work with CarPlay. And so it instead of having my map, I always like to go to the home screen on CarPlay where it shows your maps, and then it kind of shows your current plane, and then it shows if you're having navigation, it's got your navigation or live activities. But if I don't have a destination plugged into Maps, I kind of wanted something different than just the it's showing you where you're located on the map. So if you have My Radar, you can click on My Radar, and then it'll just show you kind of a static image showing, for me, it shows the entire state of Wyoming and beyond, and it shows the current radar and lightning strikes, and you can have it show a few other things, clouds and stuff. And so as I'm driving without a keyed in destination on my Maps app, I think it's kind of fun to just see what the weather's like at a glance. You know, I see storm clouds off in the distance, and I can kind of see how big that storm is. And as I'm driving home, I can see if it's likely gonna come my way or not. So I found it useful with its connection to CarPlay.
Nice.
Cool.
So,
Excellent.
but the paid version has things like you can create a route, and it'll give you the road weather. So all, slick or, the road conditions and all sorts of extra stuff. But I've not yet had a need for any of that.
Okay. Excellent. So my pick this week is a game that my nephew alerted me to. And if you like sim games like Civilization, this is probably up your alley. And especially if you happen to be Catholic or, not even if you're not, but it's called Crusader Kings. And this is an incredibly deep, detailed game where you start off as a minor noble somewhere, and basically anywhere in the globe at this point. It started in Europe, but now like it covers the Middle East and Asia and all this. So you can start pretty much anywhere, and it's basically you create a dynastic kingdom, and your character grows old, has family, has children. One of the children become your heir. You die. Your first character dies, and now it transfers to your heir. And you have to manage knights, and you have vassals, and guys above you. It's the feudal system. You have economics. You have family intrigue, and spying. It is so incredibly detailed. It is crazy, and it incorporates things like religion. Religion is a very important part of the game. You have to manage religion and marriages. You have to marry off your kids. You have to marry well yourself. And you create alliances and all the politics. Deal with plagues and pirates, and it's an incredibly detailed game. And I mentioned, like, for Catholics, like the Pope is a very important figure if you play your character in Europe. In fact, my nephew was saying, try to start out on Sardinia and become immediately a vassal to the Pope, because if you get in a bad situation and you need cash, the Pope will give you money. So, it starts out, I think, around like 800 and 900 AD and goes from there. But it also, like, they
It's historical.
Yeah, wow. It's very historical, very historically accurate, the details. And it goes all the way, like, I think they added the Mongols recently to it. It is an incredibly dense game.
Wow.
So much going on. It's almost overwhelming at times. I had to kind of like narrow my focus.
So what rank are you right now? Are you
I barely make it out of a barony, and I get conquered by my neighbor. I started off in Ireland. That didn't work out. And then I tried like somewhere.
Sicily be good.
Well, Sicily would be good. I'm going to try maybe Sicily or Sardinia next. But I tried in the Middle East, and that was a disaster because I didn't understand any of the politics there. I'll have to try that again later.
It sounds like fun.
You could have multiple wives because of the different culture there. So and because of tribal cultural differences, that actually creates all kinds of new tensions. It's a very fascinating game. If you like that sort of thing, especially if you're a history buff at all, it's a lot of fun. It's an issue game. It's been around a while. There's the rating is a T for teen, mild violence, suggestive themes, language, and drug reference. I don't know, like
tobacco.
Maybe opium is like the opium trade or something silly. I don't know. It's I didn't find anything really all that objectionable in it. For teens, it would, like, especially older teens, it would be fine.
What platforms does it run on?
Pretty much everything. So I run it on my Mac. So if you have a Mac, this is one of those games you can run.
Wow.
But you can get it on PS5, Windows. It's on Steam. So anything that can, so like the Steam Deck or any of the Steam platforms. Like the Mac and Windows, that sort of thing. So available in all those places. So yeah, it's pretty widely available. Like my barometer is if they have a good version on a Mac, that means that they're everywhere, because that's usually the last place it shows up. Yep. So I don't know if it's on Switch or any of those, but it's on consoles. I know.
If it's not super graphical, Switch can probably handle it. It's often they come to the Switch sort of late, and they have to kind of like dumb down a bit of the graphical power.
Right. it needs a good size screen. Like a laptop screen is big enough, but like I can't imagine trying to play it on like a Steam Deck or a Switch
or a Switch and handheld
or phone.
Yeah,
yeah, the handheld Switch. Yeah, not on a phone. But like, yeah, if I had a Switch attached to the TV and that sort of thing, I could see doing that. But it's fun. It's a fun game. It's immersive.
What's the price point?
Sure. They're always on sale, and they've got like a sale going on right now. In fact, like a 20% off sale. But let me pull up. Let's see. Steam Key. There's like a $50, a $65, and a $75. Like the Royal Edition. I don't know what you get with that, but
you get a crown.
There's all kinds of DLC. So if you just want to get everything at once, you get the $75 edition, and you'll never have to add anything. But you can get started. Like I'd say the $65 edition is a good place to start because it gives you the most important DLC, and you can go from there. But yeah, there's all kinds of add-ons you can add. You can add really fancy crowns, for instance. Like, not sure why I would pay for that, but if you want to, there's $5, for crowns or something.
People pay for virtual property.
Yeah, they do. They do. Yeah. So yeah. It's a, like I said, incredibly immersive, incredibly dense game. I hear from a lot of people who really enjoy it. So I will recommend that one. All right. And then, there's always the Steam sales, which is when I bought it, and I got it on sale, on Steam sale. So keep an eye out for that. So those are our picks, and that is our show. And we would love to hear what you thought of any part of our discussion. You can do that by commenting on the show at sqpn.com/technology or the StarQuest Facebook page, facebook.com/StarQuestMedia. Send an email to technology@sqpn.com. Visit the StarQuest Discord community at sqpn.com/Discord. You'll find links from our discussion and our picks of the week on our show notes at starquest.fm/TEC311. Be sure to write a review in Apple Podcasts or anywhere you can write podcast reviews. We benefit from any of those. Also, share the podcast with your friends. Help us grow this community of listeners and spread the wealth of the technology knowledge that we're trying to spread for the betterment of everyone, frankly. Better passwords is better for everyone, for instance. So, until next time, Pat Scott, thank you for joining me and sharing the secrets of technology.
I'm glad to be here.
And Father Andrew Kinstetter, thank you as well.
Always a pleasure.
And once again, I'm Dom Bettinelli. Thank you for listening to the Secrets of Technology on StarQuest. Here's another show on the StarQuest network you're sure to enjoy, The Secrets of Star Wars. Find it wherever fine podcasts are found or at sqpn.com/Star Wars.